Jonathan White.
How did you get into free improv? Where did you discover improvisation?
Doing on more composed pieces, and there would be these certain sections that I wanted a certain level of chaos to with these pieces, and I wanted to have a certain section where anything goes. And then as I started going from composing the music to playing the music, I found out there were a lot of barriers in working with highly composed music, or even somewhat composed music, in that there's a certain limit of people who you can and can't play with. And instead of trying to, I guess, learn a bare minimum of a language of a certain genre so I could improvise within that, I became more interested in learning about other improv artists and seeing different approaches, and from anything from free jazz to throbbing gristle and stuff like that, where there's different approaches, I guess, to making shit up.
Was there like a, do you think there's like a moment that you can think of that was like,
I think it came from, like, initially the impulse to really appreciate improv is almost was an appreciation of like candid, off-the-cuff moments, kind of having things recorded, coming from like I like sampling things, for example, that come from a candid, like the people don't know they're being recorded kind of thing, where there's like these really genuine, spontaneous expressions that you're kind of capturing. I would like sample them. Me and my friends would have like a lot of inside jokes, and sometimes we would freestyle as well. And we were really into hip-hop music before we started like free improvising. We would freestyle and stuff like that, and I spent a lot of time freestyling in bathrooms and shit like that. And that was actually probably even before the composed music. That was what I was doing too, was freestyle hip-hop.
This is my ThinkPad! There are many like it, but this one is mine! My ThinkPad is my best friend! It is my life! I must master it as I must master my life! Without me, my ThinkPad is useless! Without my ThinkPad, I am useless! I must type on my ThinkPad fast! I must type faster than my enemy, who's trying to ban me! I must ban him before he gets me! I will! ThinkPad and I, vendors of free software. We are the masters of our memory. We are the saviors of my RAM. So be it, until there is no enemy but us.
So it's also interesting that not only is it as an approach more inclusive, but it's also not something that's very common or has a large community itself. In Massachusetts, because I think of its density of colleges, there is actually a loose free improv scene or mini scenes that emerge. But in a lot of places, it feels like it's not even really like because improv can't always coalesce around things. And a lot of free improv musicians aren't satisfied with kind of sometimes the acceptable ways it coagulates, even because a lot of improv people don't like the patterns. And so without liking the repetition of patterns, it becomes hard to actually organize as a community in a broad sense sometimes, or people fluctuate outside of different things. But for the brief community that I've experienced from it, and it's
Sesame, bun, flour, cheesy, milkshake, pale ale, mayo slow, fat bottle, two your front throat slather, greasy, grease me up. Just wait for it. In the fresh! In the fresh! In the fresh! In the fresh! Potato chop sauce, potato line, fish, skirmish, singing, chili, all cheese, all pray to God, your friends, touring, rolling, until eternity, bordering on the